Hello everyone, warm welcome to this exciting story of Pragati who improved her score from 535 and 695 on the GMAT. And patience gives you some great results at times. So I know you guys had to really wait for 10 minutes for the session to start. We had some really bad tech issues going on. There was a lot of lag and all. But finally, we were able to fix things up. And glad to see so many people here to hear Pragati's story. And it's going to be a really inspiring journey because she saw an amazing improvement in her score from all the way from a 535 to 695 in a matter of just 3 months of effective study time. And you can see her quant score jumped from a 78 and DI. Look at these two scores, okay? 78 in quant and DI 71, all the way to 87 in quant and DI 82. So 20-point jump happened in quant and DI combined. 9 points in quant and 11 points in data insights. That's amazing score improvement. Anyone who is targeting a high score on GMAT would get to learn a lot from Pragati. It's a lot about your mindset. Like, what is the role of changing your mindset and aligning it with the right things is a big part of her Pragati's journey. Obviously, it's also about how she improved on the concepts, worked on the weak areas, and the practice part of it, the strategies and everything. But changing the mindset, aligning it, what is the right test taker's mindset is what we are going to focus on a lot today. Okay, so without any further ado, I know you guys had to wait for almost 10 minutes for the session to start. So without any further ado, let me invite Aditi to the center stage. A warm welcome, Pragati. Sorry, I keep speaking your name as Aditi for some reason today. My bad. So, Pragati, warm welcome to the session. How
Thank
was
you,
your
Piyush.
feeling
Thank you
when
so
you
much.
saw this 695 flashing on the screen in front of you on the test day? I know that feeling. You shared that with me, but I want you to tell the users how you felt when you saw that 695 on the screen.
So, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to share my story. And the feeling that I had the moment I saw 695 flashing on the screen was I could literally feel goosebumps on my hand. And I first saw that 695, then I saw that 98th percentile. And for some reason, my brain just shut itself, and I couldn't believe it because it was way more than any expected score that I had during my whole journey. And frankly speaking, fun part about this particular attempt was I had zero expectation. I just wanted to go in, try my best, and so that when I walk out of the examination room, I don't have any regrets that there's this one part of the strategy that I could have implemented, or there's this one extra thing that I could have done. So I just went in, had a lot of fun writing the exam, and by the time it was over, I couldn't believe it that it has happened and I have a dream score. So, and I remember talking to Piyush about it and mentioning that it feels like a dream, and I don't know how people react to achieving such great scores. So I still remember that day, and I still get goosebumps. That should sum it up.
I remember, like, on that evening, we had a good 15-20 minute discussion, and I was just telling Pragati that you have indeed scored 695. She was like, Piyush, I'm not sure if I've seen the right score on the screen. I will not be 100% sure unless I get the official scorecard. And I was like, don't worry. I know you. You always underestimate yourself. So if you saw 695, you might have scored more, but you would not have scored less for sure. Thankfully, all of that turned out to be great. So, yes, Pragati, so let's focus on your journey. Let's start with how you started with your GMAT prep. What was it about? Like before 535, uh,
Mhm.
let's share with the users what was your journey about. What did you do? How long did you prepare for? Just let's start from the very beginning of your GMAT prep. Yeah.
So I would say that pretty early on, like I completed my college in 2020, and by that time I knew that I had to, go for higher studies abroad, and I was brushing up my skills on that. Some background that I would give is that I am an avid reader, so I have been reading since I was, in fifth grade, and also I'm good at mathematics. So these two things combined made me assume in 2022 that I can just enroll in a GMAT exam and secure a good enough score. My assumptions were shattered when I wrote my first GMAT exam in 2022. I didn't score very well. It was something 400-ish. And I remember thinking that if I practice a bit more and maybe I brush up some concepts, it will eventually lead to a good score. So I again wrote the exam in 2023. I sort of enrolled in a online self-paced course, but because I was so much involved in my full-time work and all other personal things, so I couldn't give it a lot of time to sort of move through the course continuously. So in 23 as well, my score was not good. It was somewhere in 500s. That was a GMAT classic. And that's when I realized that I would need to double down on the preparation part of it. And I understood that there are some conceptual gaps that I need to fill, some areas that I need to improve. And that's when I sort of relied on self study. That's when I came across GMATClub. So actually, I would say in my third attempt, my actual GMAT journey started. So for my third attempt, I did a couple of self study, I would say. For verbal, I relied on GMAT Ninja, YouTube videos, and for quant, I used to solve questions from GMATClub. But again, the thing is that my prep was not structured. So GMAT Ninja, for example, helped me a lot in polishing my RC skills, which till date have helped me a lot, as in how to summarize a passage and how to connect and everything. So that for that bit I'm helpful. But again, in 24 when I wrote my exam, which gave me 535, I realized that I have personally exhausted all my strategies and all that I could in a self paced manner, or in a self study manner, and I need someone to come up and tell me what is it that I'm doing wrong. And I remember my confidence was in shambles. I just thought that I don't have it in me to score well, and that's when I reached out to Piyush in 24, when we sort of discussed. And during our initial discussions, Piyush identified that my preparation lacked a structure, and if we fill those gaps, there's a scope for improvement. And yeah, after that I sort of doubled down on building up my conceptual knowledge, identifying and filling the gaps. What followed after that was basically working on my strengths and sort of strategizing my approach towards things. And then I would say the final layer was the mindset, which changed the game for me and made way for the 695. So yeah, that would be my zigzagged journey so far with GMAT.
No, definitely. Like if I talk about your journey from my perspective, I look at what led to success was two things. Definitely working on weak areas. Everyone needs to do that, and then the mindset change. The main thing was that also the 535. To the first half of your prep, which was around 1.5 months with us, was mostly like working on the weak areas. But the other half, which was the last 1.5 months, the final jump to that 695 happened primarily because of the mindset change. So yes, all the users who are here with us, please feel free to ask your questions to Pragati. You are gonna be the drivers of the discussion. I'm just gonna be a host who is gonna put the right questions at the right time to Pragati. But yes, we have thought of some bit of a structure to the brief, this discussion. So we'll talk about the root cause analysis and how we planned initially. The journey part one, which is working on the weak areas. The journey part two, which is the mindset thing, and the timing strategies and some additional tips also. So let's talk about the root cause analysis. So Pragati, when you started working, which was like with us on GMAT Whiz, right after that 535, almost a month after the 535 attempt, uh, what was your like change, shift in thinking from earlier to now? Like the initial change in thinking, what changed right away at that stage?
So immediately, since I like immediately after I started working, I would say the first and foremost thing that Piyush asked me to do was solve a couple, couple of problem sets. And while solving those questions, there were areas that I sort of looked at. For example, I looked at the work rate time problem in a different manner, and I sort of thought that is there a way that I could have solved it in a better or a structured manner than I was solving it before. So first, I would say eye-opening thing for me was identifying while solving those problem sets that there's a gap, conceptual gap in certain areas, and then there is a approach gap in certain areas. So for example, in work rate time problems, I was facing the approach gap, as such that I immediately, whenever I saw the work rate time problem, my brain just froze shut, and I thought that I won't be able to solve it. And I remember telling this to Piyush on one of the calls, and he mentioned that you first have to slow down, believe that you can solve this question, and then look that what are the particular areas which will help you to ease your calculation. You have to believe that GMAT wants you to solve this problem, and so see how you can go about it and solve it in the like quickest way possible with high level of accuracy. So there we sort of identified that okay, if we take numbers in a manner where rates come in whole numbers, then eventually it will help us solve the problem in a better manner. So in the initial stages, those I would say hidden gaps which were not visible to me when I was doing my own self preparation, that was a game changer for me in a sense, because it built in me a sense of belief that okay, there is hope. And hope is a really really beautiful thing. It makes you sort of crave for more. It makes you want to give your 100%. So that was what I would say worked in a different manner to me for me, as compared to my previous approach. um, Knowing that there is someone that who can help me identify my gaps, and seeing that those solutions were working for me, so then I observed that I could solve the work rate problems in a matter of minutes or seconds later on. And
Hmm.
same happened with percentage problems. So these concepts feel very easy, but it's very like you can get lost in the word problems that the GMAT throws at you very quickly if you don't know what to read and how to read. So yeah, those were the initial
It's very important. In
um,
fact, I remember like initially when the entire plan was when we started studying in around November, mid-November, the goal was to kind of look at January as the application deadline and work backwards and maybe take the GMAT around Christmas. So obviously working on a short timeline, about 40-45 days. So the idea was to focus on the weak areas first and identify the weak areas. And as Pragati has already shared, when we did the quizzes and we did our first session, and I made her solve a few questions right in front of me, because again, it's not just about the data. You can't just look at the data and say, okay, you know what, you're weak in this, you're weak in that. It's also about why are you weak in those? Why exactly are you making mistakes in sets or permutation combination or probability, or for that matter, the other areas that are listed on the screen. So these are some of the topics we identified, 10 of them, which were like more important to work on. But when we looked at individual top questions, we also found that Pragati has no challenges when it comes to manipulating variables. You give her a very complex variable based type of equation, she'll be able to manipulate variables and work with it. She was able to do complex calculations involving a lot of decimals, a lot of complex numbers. She was not getting afraid of by that. So there was no problem with calculation. In fact, she was very intuitive or logical when it came to some concepts where she had very good conceptual clarity. For example, one of the topics was statistics. She was able to attack the questions in a very different way. And that made me understand that if she knows something to the level that she knows statistics at, like she gets 100% conceptual clarity in something, she'll be amazing at it because she'll think intuitively, logically, and her logical bent of mind works really well. Possibly, she doesn't know all the concepts from that logical bent of mind. So this analysis as a teacher helped me understand what is the right way to proceed, what kind of methods we need to use, because please understand there are like multiple methods of solving each question in GMAT, and especially in quant and in data insights also to an extent. You will have multiple ways of solving the same question. What works best for you may not work best for someone else. So it's important to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are to be able to adapt. For example, I remember this one thing. I saw even the very first session that in many cases she was just thinking too fast sometimes. Like looking at the question, first thing that comes to her mind, she jumps into using that and solving the question, and sometimes gets stuck at a particular point, wasting a lot of time, because of which a lot of timing pressure was coming on. In fact, if I show the quant chart from her first, like the third attempt, which was 535-1, after which she started working with us, initial few questions she actually really rushed through and solved them really quick, and some of the questions she had to spend so much time. So sometimes when you're not strategizing enough, it takes a toll on you on a few questions. So it was a lot about strategizing also before you start solving. Then we also saw that she was using value plugging for most inequality questions. Again, I'm not saying plugging values for inequalities is bad, but just relying on value plugging is something which may not help you in all the cases. Logical inferencing was needed, especially in inequalities, especially linear inequalities and absolute inequalities, is what we saw. Quadratic inequalities, on the other hand, she was able to do logical inferencing because she understood the concept really well. But these two areas, possibly it was not that clear. Similarly, in word problem basics, which by the way account for almost 30% of the questions nowadays on quant section, she was using variables in most of the cases to solve questions, like questions on percentages, work rate time, as Pragati was telling us about. So how do you assume numbers to relate it to real life is again another thing which was very, very important. So really, really important points, Pragati, and this changes some things which helped her focus on the right areas within quant, which helped her kind of see the score improvement. But apart from this, like, what was your study strategy in first 1.5 months? Like focusing on this weak areas and working on the process gaps. But apart from this, anything else that you did that you will want to share with the users?
So, adding to what you mentioned, because obviously Piyush was analyzing my strengths and weaknesses, and along with him, I was also, becoming more and more aware of my strengths and weaknesses. So, I realized this one issue that I had, that for the questions which I deemed easy for me, I used to rush through them, and for the topics that felt very difficult to me, I immediately had this fear in my head that I won't be able to solve it. So either it was a issue of rushing too much, or it was an issue of just shutting my brain off. So I decided to first tackle that, so that my easy questions don't have a high degree of inaccuracy. So in order to do that, what I did was I solved questions and then sort of looked at the solutions to check where, if in case a calculation error is happening, if that is happening, why that is the case. And then also the second thing that I identified while brushing through the concept, so this I would say was during the time when I was sort of filling those conceptual gaps. And in that time I realized that if I complete one concept and I move on to the other concept, by completing the concept I also mean I solve a great degree of questions and everything. But I realized that when I moved to the next concept, I felt that I don't remember what I learned earlier. So to tackle that, what I did was I created short notes, which I
Hmm.
used to refer or sort of revise every morning, which included certain technical aspects, as in how to approach a particular problem. So for example, let's say I felt there's an issue in primes, that I have a high degree of accuracy, but there's this fear. So majorly it was about tackling that fear. So there's this fear that I can't remember what I had learned about primes. So instead of focusing on formulas, I jotted down the concepts that I had learned, or the error areas that I had observed while solving the questions. So regularly, I would say, reading those notes helped me a lot in minimizing errors in future, and build that sense of belief that okay, I know this concept, I have done this before, I'll be able to replicate this later on as well.
A very, very important point. And in fact, that actually played a very big role in the final score improvement and overall score as well. So, coming to the next point, like basically, I remember when we were having the sessions, and almost after almost, I think, a month of doing the prep together, there was one point when like felt that there was a lot of pressure of the deadline, which was actually leading to a lot of more anxiety, where like things were getting rushed a little bit more, and that was impacting the performance in the real test, like in the questions as well. And we decided to take a step back and relax our preparation to slightly longer period and not really target round two. And I'm really, really happy that Pragati took that advice very with a very open mind, that I want to focus on doing exactly that and follow that advice overall. So that's really great from Pragati's side.
And
I'm not
adding,
sure if you guys can hear me. Pragati, are you
yeah, I can hear you. I
able
would
to
say,
hear me?
adding on to that, I
Okay.
would also say that many times when someone says to take a step back and reevaluate your strategy, you end up thinking that there is some intellectual gap. Because I am a person who used to think that okay, I didn't do well in my attempt. Maybe there is some intellectual gap in me, but obviously you're doing well in your work. So I did all this preparation and everything with a full time job, and I used to think that okay, in work I'm good, but what's happening in GMAT? Am I intellectually handicapped? Why is it not working for me? So when Piyush mentioned that, and obviously after working for 1.5 month, there was a level of trust in his strategy. So when he mentioned that I need to take a step back, I really tried to take it in a positive light and thought that okay, this is not about my intellect, but it's more about the strategy and how I learn. So I am not a person who can rush into learning something and immediately implement it. I need to sort of imbibe it in my core and understand different concepts and sort of find fun in doing that particular thing. And that is one area that made me understand that okay, maybe taking a pause would help me. Maybe what I need to do is find fun in taking GMAT again, because I remember me discussing this with Piyush that I just want to give this one attempt in December and be done with GMAT. I don't want to give GMAT ever again. So I was more or less treating at something that feels like a burden. So when you put
Hmm.
a lot of pressure into things, especially if you have a mindset like me, for example, I want to find fun in different things. It eventually, instead of aiding to the process in a positive direction, it just pushes you back, which leads to a frustration, and it's a circle. So it takes a lot to move out of that loop, and I'm glad I was able to do that.
No, I'm very glad that you actually took it very positively. As you rightly said, a lot of people think that it's an intellectual gap because of which someone else is recommending this kind of a, like, let's say, slowed down approach. But what every one of you, every single student out here who is listening to this needs to understand is that every one of you is unique. Every one of you works in a different way. And trust me, guys, it's important to get to the finish line. It's not a race where you need to get to the finish line in 10 days or 15 days or 20 days. Idea is, if you don't get to the finish line, you are doomed. Like 5 years down the line, No one is going to come to you and ask you that, okay, how long did you take for your GMAT preparation? They're going to look at where you stand in your career. And if you do an MBA from a top school, you will be standing in a top place. It will be in a great place. So what matters is that right score. And for that, whatever needs to be done, needs to be done. And I'm really glad that Pragati had the trust in me when I gave her that advice. And all of this turned out so well, right? Eventually, we have the score that we need. She's going to apply to INSEAD, maybe get selected really soon with a scholarship. Who knows? That could happen very soon. So again, what matters is getting to the finish line, and for that you need to understand yourself. And if you are not able to understand yourself, someone else who's an expert is able to understand yourself. Then let them help you out if you trust someone. So in case you would want our team help for your preparation, or you would want to connect with me to understand how our team can help you, feel free to use this link, book a call with us. We will be happy to connect with you. But it's important to get that right check in place to understand who you are, what kind of time you are going to take, because the end matters. And it's not like Pragati took too long to get there, right? 535 to 695 in just a matter of 3 months effective study time is an amazing score improvement. And there were so many breaks which came in between. Her work life was very hectic. She had to manage so many things, like the entire round two, leaving that, moving ahead. There were a lot of breaks in between her studies, but she was still able to pull it off because of that. Just 3 months time for a working professional with such a hectic work schedule like hers. So you can also do that. Important to have the right set of expectations. So let's talk about what happened in the second part, like the mindset change. Let's say the after the February attempt, what changed, Pragati, for you? So let's focus on that, and after that we'll take up the questions from Paru. And there's another Pragati who has a question in the chat also, so we'll take her question and maybe Simran's questions also. But let's first focus on your mindset change. What did you change about your mindset? How did things change after Feb March, basically?
Got it, got it. So basically, I gave the 535 attempt happened in October, and again after I worked with you for till December, we decided that okay, maybe the next attempt should be in February. And in February, I felt underprepared, but I again decided to go ahead and give it a try, because I felt that there was a high level of improvement in Quant and DI that I could see in my practice sets that I used to solve. But in that attempt, what happened again during the exam, I felt that the order that I followed was I first solved Quant, then DI, then verbal, and I sort of thought that my Quant and DI section didn't go as well, and the fear that I would again score much less than I had assumed made me mess up my verbal section pretty bad. So eventually, my verbal section had a 48th percentile in February when I gave the exam, and I scored somewhere around 595. But there was this belief because of my previous attempts that I can score better in verbal. That was the one area which made me think that okay, I can apply again, I can register for the exam again. And my main aim for giving the GMAT in April was to just improve on that verbal score. But before that, what I also realized that I need to slow down, I need to stop taking that pressure on myself, I need to take some time off and come back again, recalibrate my strategies and understand where exactly I'm lagging. Is it my conceptual clarity, is at which is making me lose score, or is it something else? So I would say taking that time off helped me a lot. And when I came back, so I went with my friends on a ski course and all, and then when I came back, then that was a time in March that I realized that okay, I don't think there is anything new in terms of concept that I need to learn. And it's more about the strategy and my mindset. I need to believe that I can get a good score in the exam. And more than that, I need to believe that I can solve a particular question. So one key area was this belief that I need to solve a particular question and not be scared of it. And second was that I so this was something that me and Piyush has also discussed earlier, because I told him that during the exam I lose focus. I can't concentrate on questions, and whenever I do that, I feel that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not soaking in the knowledge that's there. And he mentioned this interesting thing that you need to look at every question in a manner which is teaching you something new. And that was a roadblock that I was facing in my whole GMAT journey, because I felt it was redundant. You have to solve same questions over and over again. But then this mindset that he taught me, that even though the way to solve a question might be same, but eventually the information that you will get from each question, be it in any section, that would be different. So these two things, when I clubbed and combined them and add and sort of understood my own strength areas, that okay, RC is good for me, or in quant I can do very well, let's say in primes, or statistics is something that comes easy to me. So I sort of started accepting my strengths, and rather than questioning my weaknesses, I tried to strengthen them, or sort of fill those gaps wherever I could in my weak areas. I didn't focus, like obsess over that. I'm weak at it, so I just need to be better at this particular thing, and just I didn't forget about my strengths. I took that into the center stage as well. So all those things combined, and again, that's why I would say that in my second half of the preparation, it was not the concept but more of a mindset that made that whole shift for me.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I've just just summarized the key three things that basically were the key game changers in the mindset that helped you improve the score. And it is very important, guys. A lot of people do not really understand the importance of this. And it was not something that I only told Pragati to do. I tell this to every single student of mine. Like even before the session, I was having a discussion with a couple of other students who are taking the GMAT really soon. Told them the same thing, that focus on quality, don't focus on quantity, don't do too many questions, do less, but make sure that you learn from every single one of them that you are spending time on, and go into the test without any expectation of the score. It's very easy to say, it's very difficult to achieve as a student, and I know that how difficult it is. Pragati also knows how difficult it is, but I'm glad that she went with that mindset. In fact, just 1 year back, I remember Pragati, like around this similar time, like I think a couple of months later, is when Ria took her GMAT. And I remember it was in April last year that she was still having that 515 score with her. And she also was very capable. And I was telling her all the time, you go in the test without thinking about the result, just do that. She took another attempt, got a 615. But when finally she implemented that I'm not going to worry about the result, she got a 715. Works out every single time when you don't go with that expectation. And it's important, and it's at the same time difficult to achieve it. But if you guys really do achieve it, trust me, you are going without any pressure. And when you are without any pressure, the best comes out. And to all those people who watch cricket and are watch cricket, possibly you know about MS Dhoni. He's a live example of what a cool and calm person can achieve for an entire nation, basically. So if you are cool and composed, you're not worried about the result. It does wonders to you, definitely. So Pragati, I know you have already talked about how to achieve that mindset and everything, but any other inputs? And again, in fact, before the inputs, let's take up the question from another student whose name is also Pragati Trivedi. So
Hi,
you can
Pragati.
read her question on the screen. Yeah. So yeah.
Uh, I was feeling disheartened. I scored. Okay, so I think this is more about the mocks with non-math background. Just wish after 2 months I scored the same. Okay, so first thing that again, as we discussed, I would suggest you
Yeah.
to eliminate that time pressure. Um, should I read the question out loud, or is it okay, Piyush? Okay,
So
I'll read it
you
out
want to see
loud.
the
Okay,
question
so
again? I'll
Pragati
just
is
show.
asking, yeah, Pragati is asking, I was just feeling very disheartened with my today's mock. I scored 495 and I gave it again in the noon and scored 585. With non-math background, just wish after 2 months I scored the same. So for the second part of your question, I would first and foremost suggest that you uh, like do away this time pressure thing. Don't do that. Again, keep it just in a
Hmm.
directional manner that okay, in 2 months you have to give the exam, but don't obsess over it. And to answer your first question, I would say don't take mocks repeatedly without any set agenda. So mocks should not be taken in a way which
Hmm.
validate you or your intellect, but it should be taken in a way where you find some meaning out of them. So, for example, in my second attempt, like when I scored 695, I didn't give any mock till the very last week. So, a week before the exam, that was when I gave my first mock, and the sole reason why I gave my mock was not to check my score or how I'll score on the exam, because you can't predict, right, how you will score on the exam. You can just improve on your strengths and your weaknesses and all those things. So why I took the mock exam was to assess my strategy, whether it is working or not. So for example, I try to see section like which section order works better for me, or if I read slowly, or if I give like 30 minutes before trying to solve a quant question, does that work better for me or it eats my time? In I try to assess that whether I should focus more on solving all the questions, or whether I should focus more on solving the questions that I would or the so for example, MSR, I'm good at MSR, I realized through mocks. So your mocks should have an agenda, and you should not rely on your mock score and think that these are the
Hmm.
actual scores that I'll get. So in all my mocks, I never scored more than 615. In fact, my third mock that I gave, that I gave in my whole preparation journey, was on 15th April, and I scored a 615 in that. And the next day, I had my GMAT exam, and I scored a 695 on that. So, but what I wanted to assess in that 15th April attempt for my mock was to see which strategy again worked better for me, which flow worked better for me. So utilize your mocks in that manner, where you have a agenda, where you want to extract quality from them. And yeah, that is something that I will suggest.
No, that's actually very, very important. Like I see a lot of people working on I think the tech issue is going on at my end, Pragati. So sorry, I think the
No
lag
worries, I
was
can
there, so I didn't realize that this is speaking. But anyway, I was saying that this message that Pragati has given around Mark is super duper duper critical. Like I can't even emphasize anymore on this. A lot of people take mocks just with this expectation to validate, because like seek validation from a mock score. What they fail to realize is if you are taking mocks to seek validation from a mock that you are good or bad, you're going to put yourself under a lot of pressure while taking the mock, and it's possibly going to go bad compared to going better. So it's important that you don't take mocks for a validation purpose, but rather take mocks for the purpose of getting the right strategies in place, of pacing yourself, or the right section order, all the things that Pragati was talking about. That's something which is very, very, very critical. I can't emphasize more on that. So, uh, uh, Pragati, I have another question from Kashyap. I've just shared it on the screen, so
Okay.
like I think you can take this up as well.
Sure.
I
I'll give
think
it a
you should
read.
be able to see it.
Okay. It is suggested to stick to official sources for
He's asked,
verbal GMAT
yeah, he's
and
asking about
LSAT.
the best sources for studies, basically. What do you think? Yeah.
Do you agree with this? Our officially only questions were also recommended for DI was what was helpful for your DI prep. Got it. Okay. Again, I would. emphasize on the fact that you need to, so in during the initial days of my preparation journey, I was also the person who was obsessed with questions. So I used to set up time that, okay, I have 2 hours in a day, I'll try to solve 30 questions, and then I need to solve those questions. If I can't solve 30 verbal questions every day, then I'm doing something wrong in my preparation. And again, it took me nowhere because I was blindly solving the questions without analyzing them or understanding. So for example, in verbal, if I am solving a question and if I haven't analyzed why the answer choice is correct, then it's it's almost like that you have not solved that question. And same goes with quant. For example, if you have solved one question, there can be 3 4 different ways in which that question can be solved. If you have not analyzed that question after solving, you have, it's almost like you haven't solved that question. And similarly for di, so in all these 3 sections, what you need to do is focus on quality, on how you devote your time, and sort of analyze. Like for example, let's say you're attempting 5 questions in a day for verbal or for di. Sit and analyze that what all are the choices that you got right, what all are the choices that you got wrong, and why did you get them wrong. So that is number one. Secondly, for verbal, I would say I haven't relied on any resource, because I have been an avid reader since since I was in class 5th or 6th. So I read continuously, and in my job as well, I have to read set of articles and everything. So that reading perspective was always taken care of for me. What I would say helped me in verbal was taking pauses after the reading, sort of letting that meaning soak in before moving ahead. So that is one thing that will help you solve. And ideally, official questions, they are the true replica of closest replica of what you can get on the GMAT. So official questions, they work better, like quite well for me. And then for DI as well, again, what I relied more was on a strategy that Piyush told me, which was, for example, in data sufficiency, I was facing a lot of problems. So I relied on uh, solving it to a, like, to a point where I know that I will eventually get an answer. But also, so for example, when I'm sure that this particular calculation will get me to a particular numerical answer, I left it at that. I didn't try to solve and get the answer. So sort of not leaving your solution too quickly, and not going too far with that solution. So finding that perfect balance, it helped me with data sufficiency. And then for the other sections, try and identify which sections are your strength. So for example, I realized that MSR is my strength, and in 2 part analysis, it's very sporadic, the results that I used to get. Sometimes I can solve all the questions, sometimes I can't. So accordingly, I strategized. So in DI, strategy is also a huge part that eventually
Mm.
plays a role in your score. So yeah, with DI, I would say you need to solve, analyze, and also strategize, which should help your overall score.
Definitely, the best advice is there, but like there is a bit of a lag that I'm experiencing. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm having some tech issues, so I'm not able to completely like understand everything because the entire voice is not coming through. Just my bad internet. It's just reoccurring Pragati. I can't really do anything about it. But
No
yes,
worries,
so
no worries.
let's talk about any other tips that you would like to share the users. So we have covered some really good insights, and I hope my internet was better and I could actually ask the questions. But I'm sure users were able to get some great advice from you because you have covered so much like about the preparation, the mindset, the mocks, and everything. But any other tips that you feel you would like to share with the users, please feel free to go ahead.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I would actually like to share 3 tips. One would be during your prep, for the time when you are actually preparing. During that time, I would say, so it's very easy to look at stories of people and trying to sort of utilize their journey in a manner where you forget that you also have to personalize that journey. So the one suggestion that I would definitely give you during your whole preparation stage is to identify your strength and then personalize your strategy according to that. So for example, in my whole journey, I identified that RC, let's say, is my strength in verbal and CR is not. So and in fact, whenever I used to see, like, look at all the videos and articles, mostly people mention that CR is their strength, and they find a bit of a issue with RC or working on that. But this realization was enough for me to sort of recalibrate my verbal strategy in that manner, that I focus more on getting high accuracy answers for RC, and then in CR, it was okay for me if I get a medium level answers correct as well. So that eventually helped my overall score. So you have to ensure that you realize that you want a overall good score, and that can come from your and that has to come from your strengths, and you just need that your weaknesses reach to a stage where whatever topic you are weak in, you are able to solve at least a medium level question with a high accuracy, and eventually that will help your overall score. So personalizing your preparation journey based on your strengths, and this identification of strength, you will be able to do that by analysis. So this would be my second tip, that less is more, and you need to really really sort of utilize your resources in a way that uh, whatever you are practicing, whatever questions you are solving, you need to be very mindful of the impact it is, like it is generating on your overall knowledge or the understanding of the exam. So you have to first of all believe that GMAT, the people from GMAT, they want you to be able to solve the questions. So they are not throwing questions in your direction which are unsolvable. So they are solvable. And how you'll be able to solve them better is by taking pauses. So taking pauses, it's almost like very for example, if I tell you that you need to slow down to move fast, you'll feel that it's very ironic, but actually it works wonders. And I implemented this during my exam as well. There were one or two questions where I was not able to solve them, and I figured that okay, I need to slow down, I need to read them, and then I need to solve that question. And believe me, in my head earlier I used to think that okay, if I slow down, I'll maybe take 5 4 or 6 minutes to solve this question. But this slowing down strategy really helped me tackle a question within like 1 minute or even seconds. I have taken a, tracked that. So this would be my second tip. And third would be, during your examination, when you are in that exam room, you need to focus on now. So whatever question you have on the screen, focus on that and not on what happened before that or what will happen after that. uh, this focus will really help you. And obviously you need to take care of the time as well, the timer. So I sort of what I did in my exam to tackle that time issue, I divided my questions in three segments. So for example, seven questions by the time the 15 minutes are over. So that was just directional in nature, which allowed me again to focus on now. Whenever I felt that I was getting distracted or I was getting worried by the question that was that I couldn't solve earlier or anything, I did a quick exercise to sort of bring back that focus. You can find your own exercise in that manner as well, something that is helpful, that helps you to recalibrate your focus. Uh, that I would say was the eventual game changer for me. Uh, Focusing on the question that is just there in front of you. So I can't, like, I know I'm saying that this again and again, but I can't emphasize on this like well enough, that you need to focus on what's there in front of you in the screen, in on the screen, and not before that or after that. That will really really help scale your score. So yeah, these are my three tips that
No,
I would
definitely.
say that have been
No,
the
some really,
highlight.
really good insights. In fact, that's something only an experienced testicle like you can share, who has gone through the entire process and seen some of the best days and some of the worst days also. So, some really good tips. And to everyone who is listening to this, a lot of you might be in the early stages of your preparation also. But trust me, guys, these are golden tips. This are really, really critical. A lot of people just focus on doing a lot of practice, cramming too many questions, doing this mock, doing that mock. But these are some of the greatest advices that you can possibly use to get a high score on the GMAT. So I'm really, really thankful, Pragati, for taking our time today. And I know my internet is not the best. It was possibly not the best experience for some of the users also. But yeah, we like still were able to help them as much as possible. So do like give your 100% and take all the points that Pragati has shared with us into account. And in case you want to speak to us at GMAT Whiz, feel free to schedule a call on our calendar. I've shared the link for it, and I'll also quickly show the details of connecting with us very quickly. So in case you want to discuss with us, you can reach out on these numbers or this email ID and feel free to do that. But thank you so much, Pragati, for taking out time. I know your work has been very, very hectic in April, and still you took out time for everyone to help people. And I'm sure a lot of people got inspired today. Some of my students have already been inspired and have seen some great improvement because of your story. And I'm sure it will keep inspiring more people. So thank you so much, Pragati, for taking out time
Thank you
today.
so much, Piyush. It was a pleasure talking about the journey, and I really, for example, when you told me one of your student um, heard my story and replicated it and got great results, it was a really touching moment for me because there's nothing better that someone can ask. Uh, when they realize that their story or their whole journey has been helpful for someone else as well. So I really hope that today on this call other people also find something of value, and yeah, all the best for your attempts, all of you who are watching this, and I hope you get good score.
Definitely, and all the best to for the applications again that still is remaining. And yeah, I'll definitely be happy to help in whatever regard I can in that process as well. So thank you so much, and thank you all the audience for coming here today. And I wish you all the best for your GMAT. Thank you.